So time is the most valuable thing that you have. It's more valuable than money. It's more valuable than all sorts of things, but it's really one of the most valuable things you have. And so recently I was in Washington, and everyone goes and talks to the politicians about what they want and what they need, and they need more money for this, they need legislation for this, and everyone's basically bitching. Um, so the idea of the people coming in is that these people have power, and they do. They have a certain amount of money, and they also have a certain amount of power to legislate or write rules and things like that. And so there is some benefit to speaking to these people. However, coming in with the mindset that they're going to solve your problems, or it's their responsibility, or they're the only ones that can help you. For example, say education or something to that effect, or any sort of issue, transportation, tax issues, things of that nature. People inherently go in there thinking, oh, the government will solve this problem, or they just need to do this or that. But really what you should be saying is, sure, the government have some resources, and they're a player in this space, and oftentimes a big player, but people are the ones that are doing the work. People are the ones sending the message, and people can do things, a lot of times without resources. I can help out a lot, and I do, without financial resources. I do it with my mind and with my time. And as I said, time is your most valuable commodity. I know a lot of people still worry about money, and once you figure out how all that works, and you kind of get stable and things like that and all that, and I don't want to sound like money's nothing. It is important, but once you get to the point where money's not your whole life, what you realize is time is your whole life, and that time is always running out. And that time is allocated to you, and it can be taken away from you in any instant, at any time. And how you choose to spend your time is so important. It is so incredibly important how you spend your time. And, and I don't like to be judgmental or anything, and, people like to do the different things, and some things are constructive, but, don't sit on your ass most of your life. And if you do, sure as hell don't bitch about how the way the world is. If you're concerned about whatever you're concerned about, I don't care if it's hippie shit or global warming or injustice or, people in Africa or Asia or drug trade, trafficking, all that stuff. That's all important stuff. But if you are spending a disproportionate time doing things that are not constructive, don't bitch about those things, because you're not being constructive. You're not alleviating those. You really actually don't care about those things, because if you did, you would be doing something. Now, you can't solve all the world's problems, and you're only one person, but you sure as hell can do stuff every day. You can think about stuff. You can network. You can push the limits and push yourself and be disciplined about it, and you can make a difference. And when you really do care about something, that's what you do. You actually go out there, you put your time into it, you put your effort into it, you put your resources into it, and you take risks. You take risks. You put yourself on the line for something else or someone else. You don't care about fucking Jersey Shore and shit like that. You mature. And the world needs more people like that are really genuinely interested and going out there and doing something that is not for their own pleasure and their own delight. It's definitely the best thing, most rewarding thing that you can actually do for yourself personally is to give. And there's been plenty of talks about this, and TED Talks and things like this, and it's actually true. When you give yourself and you give your time, you are rewarded through these relationships and what happens and what you see and that feeling of satisfaction. But I suppose this message is, coming from this last week of people just bitching and moaning about everything and asking for things. My take on that is the government, sure, it's a resource. It's got money, and maybe they have a little bit too much. They can legislate, and you want them in your toolbox. But people, at the end of the day, are the ones that make these things happen. People in the community, businesses, network people who care about something. The real thing is bringing that organizational structure together and just doing what you need to do. That's it. And people loving what they're doing enough to carry on and carry out and carry through. Oftentimes people don't care enough to stick with it. You have to stick with it. Times get hard, times get tough, and you develop this perseverance, and that perseverance and those capabilities keep on going and generating. So really choose wisely how you spend your time. Think about how you spend it every day. Think about how you spend your weekends. That's a real indicator. Is how do you spend your free time? And you'll kind of get an idea of what you really think, what's really important to you. You know, you tell everyone else what's important to you during the week, but how you spend your weekends or your free time, that's important to you. And you know, we're all guilty of misallocating that in some way. But kind of think about that, what you're doing, where you're spending your time, what's really important. So, that's it.